52, the year of the entombment of John A. Slingerland. We are here today because of the vision of a few dedicated community members and the support of many community volunteers and donors. The Friends of the Slingerland Family Burial Vault, formed in 2017, have led the mission to restore this historical site from a highly deteriorated condition to what you see behind me today. Led by Susan Leaf, the town of Bethlehem historian, the Friends include two direct descendants, Sue Virgilio and Bob Mullins, two neighbors, Georgia Fishburne and Kathleen Bregel, and a fifth cousin, yours truly. And backing the Friends all the way have been David Van Leuven, our town supervisor, and the staff of the town's highway department. And with that, I'll call upon David Van Leuven to say a few words.
Thank you, Frank. I'm looking at the vault today and thinking back to what it once used to be, and I have to say I'm in awe of the hard work and the successful outcome of all of those efforts. So we just take a moment to give a round of applause to all of those folks. So our town of Bethlehem today is firmly rooted in our history, in the neighborhoods we have that are new and old, in landscapes wild and cultivated, and even in streets and pipes that few people will ever see. But our real history lies in the people who live and who lived here. All are important, whether they passed through our town's history quietly or whether they left behind indelible marks. And of all the people who have ever lived in Bethlehem, I think it's arguable that the Slingerland family has left some of the most indelible marks on our community. I'll leave it to our resident historians to tell the Slingerland family's tale, but I want to say today that preserving and celebrating our town's history is a priority for me and a priority for our town. And it's a challenge that requires close collaboration between our town government, community groups like the Friends of the Slingerland Family Burial Vault, and friends and neighbors who can help us all recognize and understand our past, and from that understanding, build a wonderful future for our community. I'm so grateful for all of the hard work from the Slingerland Family Burial Vault Committee, to our town employees who worked so hard in partnership with them, and to all the residents, past, present, and future, who have made the hamlet of Slingerlands and the town of Bethlehem such a wonderful place to live. Thank you all for coming out today. Hand it over to you.
Thank you, David, for those thoughtful words. Before I introduce our next speaker, I would like to acknowledge those who have given of their time and talent in the effort to restore the vault. Thank you to Jack Healy, a professional structural engineer with Ryan Biggs, Clark Davis Engineering and Surveying, for the structural analysis of the vault's integrity. Thank you to Dan Mazzeau and Sean Higgins, Mazzeau Archaeology and Consulting, for examining and cataloging the debris found within the vault. Thank you also to local artist Peter Keitel for a rendering depicting the vision of the restored vault, and to Yvonne Lutkis for providing the historical marker erected on New Scotland Avenue. And if you haven't seen it, it's right at the end of the driveway between this house and the Monches parking lot. Thank you to Chris White for cleaning the monument on top of the vault, and for leading a volunteer crew to reinstall the marble pillars right behind me in front of the vault. We are currently working with Ed Klinke, a landscape architect, to create an inviting environment around the vault, and we thank Ed for that service. Our next speaker is Susan Leaf, the town of Bethlehem historian and president of the Friends of the Slingerland Family Burial Vault. Susan?
Didn't know I had an official presidential designation here. Frank created that for me. Thank you all so much for coming out today. It's so exciting to be here at this moment. It's kind of interesting to think about. I thought I'd give you just a little smidge of a historical background. The family voted in 1852 to establish this vault, and it's kind of hard to imagine the historical setting that would have been here, because everything you see around you except the vault would not have been here. So this is 1852. The only thing across the street is Kathleen Bragel's house, which is not a Victorian, and it's white with black shutters. That's the old Slingerland family homestead, and that's what would have been here, nothing else. And you know, time goes on. The Slingerlands, this area soon became a bustling hamlet. It grew up, the railroad came through, that made a significant impact. William H. Slingerland, who's buried here in the vault, he built a big Victorian house that was right next door here. After he passed away, his will designated that the burial vault site went to the town of Bethlehem, and that's when the town of Bethlehem took ownership of it, is when he passed away, in this little tiny site here. Charlie Sanders eventually had his store out where the Manja building is now. But unfortunately, over time, the area became overgrown, it became neglected. I almost said forgotten, but people here knew that this was back here. I've heard stories about sledding off of this hill. I've heard stories about people playing golf and trying to get through the opening to make their shot. So it was known that it was back here. And eventually, you know, the vandals and vandalism and, of course, Mother Nature had their way, and it led to this crumbling edifice that was here. But now we've got this beautifully reconstructed vault behind me, and there's been so many people that helped with it, and Frank's going to mention many of them, and we're just so grateful for that to become a reality. We will be adding some more signs. We're going to have a nice walkway up to the top so you can see the monument. So there's a little bit more work to be done to improve on the landscaping and signage. But it's beautiful, and it really has a place for us to remember an important local family, the Slingerland family. It's a place to enjoy and kind of invite some quiet kind of contemplation of our history and those who have come before us. And it's also an educational resource. It was my pleasure last spring to have every single fourth grader from Slingerlands Elementary School walked over here. And I was able to connect what they're learning in the classroom to actual individual people who lived right here. For example, we talked about the Native peoples and the Mohican Indians and Tunis Slingerland's encounters with Native peoples back in the 1600s. He's the, I don't know how many great-great-grandfather of the folks that are buried here. I was able to connect to the American Revolution. John and Leah Slingerland, who are the kind of the matriarch and patriarch of the Slingerlands in this hamlet, both of their fathers served in the American Revolution on the patriot side. There's a Slingerland's cousin that was a loyalist and remained loyal to King George. That's the Canadian branch of the Slingerland family. So that's some interesting family conversations probably happened at that time. But it makes that connection with local things, local history, that connect up to this wider context of kind of state and national history. And that's what I'm very excited about being able to do here and, of course, across the whole town of Bethlehem. So thank you again for coming out, and I will turn it back over to Frank.
Thank you, Susan, for your leadership on this project. It wouldn't have happened without you. Our next speaker is Sue Virgilio. Sue is also on the Friends of the Slingerland Family Burial Vault Committee, and I'll ask her to say a few words and maybe have her explain how she got involved with the project. Sue?
Hi, my name is Sue Virgilio, and I'm the third great-granddaughter of John I. Slingerland and Elizabeth Vanderzee. So I'm a direct descendant from the folks who are buried here in the burial vault. This whole project started with me with a simple ancestry DNA kit that was sent to me for a Christmas present in 2016 by my mother, Joan Slingerland Roy. I took the DNA test and sent it away and was immediately confused because in my lineage there was an adoption. So once I dug into the fact that I had a congressman as an ancestor, I was able to find the burial vault. And once I found the burial vault, I contacted the town and, you know, found out that they were looking to restore the burial vault and put together a committee. So I was very thrilled to see how many community members have interest in this project who are not related to anyone in the burial vault. Very grateful to everyone, all the time and effort that they've spent on this project. We have a really great friends group right now. Everybody has their own individual talent. Everything has come together very nicely. I also want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day today to come and see us and see what we've done with the vault.
Thank you, Sue, for persevering there and following through with the town to make this project come to fruition. It's just one person can make a change. Of course, the actual work of restoring the vault was performed by highly trained professionals. The Town of Bethlehem Highway Department, led by Tiger Anastasi and now Mark Dorsey, and their very capable foreman, Peter Schmidt, removed a dozen trees and stumps. They graded and seeded the site and provided a crushed stone path leading to the vault. It was a tremendous amount of work, and we thank the Town Highway Department for that. The couch sarcophagus inside on the right side, if you look inside the vault, was restored by our local mason, Bruce Bork. We thank him for that work. The facade and the vault roof were meticulously repaired to a historically accurate manner by Ganem Contracting Corporation. And that was led by a talented mason, Wayne Warrior. He was very meticulous about what he was doing. He matched the previous design of the stones to match what was there, and that's what you see today. It looks very, very close to the configuration of stones that was there back in 1852. The new stainless steel vault door was crafted by Adnac Contracting Services. It's a women-owned business led by Kanda Birch, and it was with assist by her husband, Joe Birch, from Maximum Security Products. These folks make embassy doors all around the world. They make prison doors, so they know security. So hopefully this will keep out the riffraff. The Sarcophagus Tablet and the door lintel tablet were supplied by Stefanazzi and Spargo Granite Company up in Latham. The project was also supported by fundraising efforts of the Garden Bistro and Roma's Pizza. Several visits with the Slingerland Family tours were held, and the actors all donated their time and talent, so we thank them for those efforts. We've also received grants from Stewart's Shops in Albany County. And the grant received from Albany County was thanks to Bill Reinhardt and Frank Moriello, who sponsored the grant request. And I believe Bill is here. And Bill, would you like to say a few words, please? You gotta hold it close.
So I thought about what I was going to say today, and as far as all the community, the wonderful community we have here, David already said that. As far as how this fits into history, Susan already said that. The one thing that you haven't heard yet, which I'll call it sort of a family secret. I'm not related to Slingerlands, but I do live in a Slingerlands house. My house is one of the Victorians, 7th one past Tollgate Ice Cream. Hopefully it'll come back someday, Tollgate. And I am the 4th owner. Slingerland, I don't remember which one. I actually lost my documentation when I had the lightning strike and the fire that many of you probably remember. So I can't tell you which Slingerland it was. But we had first a Slingerlands family, then we had a Sanders family. I don't know if it's related to the same one. I know that this Sanders was an attorney in town, and this was the summer home. They lived off on Manning. But the thing I do want to kind of reiterate is this is a wonderful piece of our local history. I was a history buff as a kid, you know, AP history and all that, got a liberal arts education at Cornell, kept studying history. What really surprises me is how much history I continue to learn even after I'm out of school. And I think that's the way we have to look at history. It's something that is an ongoing process. And even now, you know, there's a national debate about what is our history. We need to understand our history. I think that's really important. If we know who we are and where we're going, we need to understand our history. But this is a wonderful little piece of local history. I like this as a, it connects to the rail trail in my mind. It connects to all of the things that are happening on or near the rail trail as a wonderful asset for this, not only the towns along here, you know, Albany, Bethlehem, Voorheesville. By the way, if any of you haven't seen the Hilton Barn yet, that's another piece of history that's out in Voorheesville. It's right next to the rail trail. So we are doing a good job, I won't say a perfect job, of illuminating all of the history that's on or near the rail trail and in our communities. And I think that that's a wonderful asset that we should build off of and continue to nurture, because I think this is going to become, this vault and other things like the Hilton Barn are going to become actually tourist sites. And it's going to be good for the economy to have more and more people using the rail trail and coming to visit it and recognizing what a gem it is and all the assets that are nearby, whether they're environmental assets or historical assets. So I'm really excited. That's why I wanted to come today, is because since I've joined the county legislature, I've had this vision of what could happen with the rail trail, and piece by piece these things are happening, and it's very exciting. And I think this building of this idea is going to continue. With that, I just want to say again, thank you all the volunteers who made this possible. Thank you, Mr. Slingerlands, for making this wonderful town possible. And I will give it back to you.
Thank you, Bill, for those kind words. William H. Slingerland, one of the sons of John A. Slingerland, was a deacon at the Delmar Reformed Church, so it is fitting that we have with us today Reverend Chris Vandy Bunty from the Delmar Reformed Church to rededicate the historic family vault. Reverend?
Good morning, everybody. As Frank said, I'm Pastor Chris Vandy Bunty from Delmar Reformed Church. I'm privileged to offer a few words on this occasion as a pastor of the church years later, where all of the Slingerland family members entombed here at some point found fellowship during their lives with us. Our church began worship in the early 1840s as an offshoot, the eastern branch of the what's now the Unionville Reformed Church. And from the beginning, the Slingerland family was a large part of the congregation, both in a literal and figurative sense. When we were officially organized as a congregation in 1848, as Frank alluded to, one of the original 6 church board members, what we call our consistory, was William H. Slingerland. At the time, a man in his late 20s, entombed here. Our church records indicate many connections with those whose remains rest here. William and his wife, Elizabeth Wayne Slingerland, were founding members of the church, and they were joined early on by William's brother John I and sister-in-law Sally Hall Slingerland at the church, as well as his father John A and mother Leah Britt Slingerland, all entombed here. Other members of the church entombed here include children of William and Elizabeth, James W., Helene, John H., and grandson, infant Charles Arthur Slingerland. Though this history dates back over 150 years within our church, the Slingerland family involvement there happens over 150 years after the family is already established in this area. A long legacy of connection and community, to be sure. We give thanks and praise God for the early foundation that the Slingerland family, already long established, helped offer our congregation in its infancy. Today I represent Delmar Reformed Church as we rededicate this place of rest after such a monumental, pun may be intended, effort to fundraise and then repair this Slingerland family vault. We join all of you in giving thanks to the many who have made this day possible. Normally at a service of committal or entombment, I would offer a liturgy of scripture readings and prayers appropriate to the deceased. As time has separated us from knowing those laid to rest in this vault, I wish to offer just a few brief words as a representative of the faith tradition shared by those entombed here. First, listen to these words of Psalm 121, an ancient poem of faith which speaks to the eternal presence surrounding and supporting us. The psalmist writes, "I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps the people of God will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day,